Hello. Today's presentation is entitled From A to B. We're going to talk about basketball officiating two-person. While this video and training presentation is geared for new officials and officials with 0 to 3 seasons of experience, this video also has content that all officials of all levels should review for two-person officiating. Here's today's agenda. We're going to talk about the pregame, the jump ball, positioning, three-pointers, throw-ins, backcourt pressure defense, free throws, switches, substitutions, timeouts, between quarters, and ball spots. Let's talk about the pregame. For National Federation High School Contest, our crew of two will report to the playing area at the 15-minute mark. They will observe positions at the 28-foot mark in the front court opposite of each team's bench, as you can see in the diagram to the right. They will check the following during this interval: the legality of players' uniform and equipment, observe the warm-up of both teams, ensure that all court markings are visible, ensure both teams have turned in their rosters by the 10-minute mark, legality of the game balls, and ensure that the clock and scoreboard are function properly. In the video, this is a small snippet of an example of the referee of this two-person crew going to the scorer's table to perform the duties. In this particular video, while we will not see the official check the game ball, we will see the official check the roster for both teams. Again, remember, we have a host of duties and responsibilities during pregame. For review, we're checking players' uniforms and equipment. If there is a uniform and equipment issue, we want to do our best not to interrupt the warm-up of our teams. If you can, find an assistant coach or the head coach and point it out to them. If you can tell the player in passing, then tell the player in passing. But we don't want to find ourselves in a situation where we're walking into the area of the players' warm-ups and disrupting their activity. Again, we're observing the warm-ups of both teams. We want to make sure that our court markers are visible, ensure that the clock and scoreboard are functioning properly, and make sure that our benches are in the correct area. They should not go anywhere beyond the 28-foot mark and can extend all the way to the end line. This is the most important part of a basketball contest prior to the initial jump ball to start the contest, the pregame conference. In the state of Georgia, we have these at the 3-minute mark to take place at the division line circle. Our crew of two does an excellent job of conducting this pregame conference. We are required to ask at least 2 minimum questions about all players being legally and properly equipped throughout the duration of the contest, and all players showing sportsmanship throughout the duration of the contest. I do my pregame conference a little differently, and I'll share with you how I conduct mine, and hopefully it will work for you. Prior to asking the two required questions, I ask all players and coaches, or all bench personnel and coaches in this case, if they have any questions, comments, or concerns, or inquiries, and I address those at that moment. Then I will ask the two required questions. What was a twist? I also ask the players will their coaches, teammates, and coaching staff show leadership and sportsmanship throughout the duration of the contest. And players usually enjoy that and it gives them responsibility. I also inform everybody in the circle that good legal defense, hustle, and effort will be rewarded by us. I also let them know that communication is a two-way street and we will address respectful questions and statements. I don't like to say we won't respond to statements because we're human beings. We always do respond to statements. And I give the okay for general motion about calls and reaction to calls as long as they're not disrespectful or show any officials up or any emotion or actions that will show the opponent up. Near the end of the pregame conference, I offer my partners the opportunity to interject anything that they need to express. We wish the teams good luck, and we've done a good job of setting the expectations for the basketball contest that we are about to officiate. Jump ball. Here's our procedure for the jump ball to start the contest and any overtime periods. Our umpire will take a position at the division line table side, or just to the right of the table. Our referee will take a position at the division line opposite the table. We will allow our players to take their desired legal positions. I would encourage you, when you get some time, to go over your rules in the rule book regarding jump ball. There are positions where our players can occupy and not occupy, and there are players that can actually move and players that cannot move during the jump ball process. Our referee will enter the division line circle with our jumpers. He or she will indicate the correct directions for each team. Ensure that the toss goes at least 1 foot above the tallest jumper. Once the ball is legally possessed, the umpire will become lead and our referee will become trail. Let's talk about the jump ball for group 2. We will watch 2 jump ball plays in this training video. So if the jump ball goes to the referee's left, our table side referee will become the new lead, and our tossing official will become the new trail, as we will see in this play. Allow the players to take their desired legal positions. Let's make sure we know our rules for players and what they can and cannot do. Indicate the correct direction for each team. Ensure that the toss goes at least a foot above the tallest jumper, as our official does a great job with that. And we discussed that our tableside official becomes lead and the other official will become our trail. If the jump ball goes to the referee's right, our referee will become the trail and our tableside official will become the new lead. Again, allow all players to take their desired legal positions. Indicate the correct directions for each team. Let's ensure that the toss goes at least a foot above the tallest jumper. Our referee in this play does a great job of that. And the tableside official will become the lead, and the other official becomes trail. If a retoss is required, our table official should blow whistle require a retoss. And that's a jump ball for a crew 2. Positioning. For every play in the basketball contest, we're not going to include fast breaks for this particular presentation. It is mandatory that officials observe their correct initial starting positions in the front court. After the initial jump ball, we should observe our starting initial positions. After the throw in to start each quarter or half, we should also observe our initial starting positions. As you can see in the diagram to the right, the trail's initial starting position is at the 28-foot mark. Lee's initial starting position is on the end line, out of bounds 3 to 6 feet off the intersection of the lane and out of bounds boundary line. You will later find that this particular position, as highlighted in the diagram to the right, is called the post-up position. This still image of our officiating crew of 2 highlights their starting position. We see our lead official, who is out of bounds, is about probably, I would say, about 6 feet from the intersection of the out of bounds boundary line and the lane line. This is near the edge of the post-up position. This is a great position in that he has a wide peripheral of all the players from a 45-degree angle, and he can make just a slight turn with his right foot and head if need be to see the remaining 2 players that are nearer to the sideline, closer to the bench area for the team in red or orange. Our trail official is at the 28-foot mark. This is a great starting position to officiate almost any play, not talking about fast breaks. You can see that our trail official is officiating an on-ball matchup, and he is able to see the airspace between our offensive and defensive players. We call this concept refereeing the defense, which we'll learn more in future training presentations. These are great positions demonstrated by these 2 officials where we should start officiating every play in the front court that's not a fast break. When a team's possession changes as a result of a made goal, last made free throw goal, or defensive rebound, our officials will observe new positions. Our lead will become the trail, and the trail will become lead. It is mandatory that our officials make a conscious best effort to get to the initial starting position. If the play allows us to travel to our new positions in a straight line, then do so. If it allows us to travel at a slight diagonal, do so. I often find most times that depending on the players and the location of the basketball, I may have to get to my new position in a slight half semicircle. This video will illustrate the positions of our 2 officials, our lead and our trail. We will see that this play highlights our officials going from one position to another. We have a made goal by the team in white, and you can see that our old trail official now goes to the new lead position, and that our old lead will now occupy a trail position. Now we have a violation by the team in red, and now we have what we call a switch, which we will cover later in the presentation. And within this switch, our trail official will become the new lead, and our old lead official will become the new trail. The reason that positioning is so vital and important is because of the large areas that each of our officials is responsible. Lead's area of responsibility is much smaller in comparison to trails, but lead still has a very sizable area of responsibility. Trail has a huge area of responsibility. These areas are often referred to as primary coverage areas, and there will be officiating manuals on other levels which you'll hear the term primary coverage area. You'll often hear high-level officials talk about primary coverage areas. In the image to the right, we are focusing only on the left side, where we have shades of red and yellow under 2-person coverage. It should be noted that there are some states within National Federation High School in which our lead official will cover the entire lane area in a two-person crew. Let's talk about three-pointers. We're going to talk about three-pointers because we have just finished on the previous slide talking about primary coverage areas and areas of responsibility. And we are living in a day and age where three-pointers are one of the most frequent shots taken by basketball players. The last slide in our last chapter discussed the primary coverage area of our lead and trail officials. So we see by the coverage areas that both officials have responsibility for three-pointers in the front court given the area where the basketball is located. Both officials can signal a three-point signal attempt. Only trail will signal a three-point goal as good. Let's not confuse the first part of that statement. Both officials can have a three-point signal attempt, but we should only have one official with a hand up giving a three-point signal attempt. The other official should be covering rebounding action, as we will discuss right now. If a three-pointer try occurs in your PCA, then you are responsible for staying with that shooter and any defenders that attempt to close out on that shooter and or contest the shot. Your partner should be aware of the three-point try, but should turn his head towards the lane to officiate the rebounding action. Again, first rule, get to your initial starting positions. This will assist you in being able to effectively officiate plays involving three-pointers. In this particular play, our lead official is going to have the three-point shot try in his primary coverage area. We want to observe a good position along the end line so we don't have to take extra steps as our lead does, so that we have appropriate coverage on the three-point shot attempt. In this play, we saw that both our officials signaled that the three-point goal was good. And while this is not illegal from a mechanic standpoint, we want to get into the habit that only our trail official will signal a three-point goal as good. If for whatever reason our trail official misses this, then our lead is within his or her rights to make sure that the table sees that the three-point goal is good. In this particular play, Trail will have a three-point shot try in his primary coverage area. One of the things about this particular play, we don't want to be behind shooters when they're taking a shot. We want to take a position such that we can see between the offense and defensive players whenever a shot is being attempted. Let's talk about throw-ins. Throw-ins are the actions of a player attempting to pass the ball from out of bounds to a teammate. They can occur when the clock is properly running or when the clock is properly stopped. They can occur either on the sideline or inline. They can occur after a foul, after a made goal or made last free throw, after a violation, after a timeout, after an out of bounds violation. They definitely occur to start a quarter or half. One of our officials has the responsibility for the thrower in, defender of the thrower in, and all nearby action. The other official is responsible for everything else. You can see with just a crew of two, this is indeed a very tall order. So if we have a front court throw-in administered by our lead official, lead will hand the ball to the thrower-in on these front court throw-ins on the end line. Lead's position will depend on the spot of the throw-in. We want to make sure we take a position where we can hand the basketball to the thrower-in. We call this concept putting the ball at the player's disposal. But we also want to make sure we're not so close to the thrower-in that we're not able to see all the action taking place on the basketball court, as well as initiating our 5-second throw-in count, as well as be able to see our boundary lines. Again, throw-ins are a tall order. Our trail official should start at the 28-foot mark, which is his initial starting position. Trail must be present in these types of plays and should not be officiating them from near the division line. If we have a front court throw-in administered by a trail where our trail official is on the sideline, our trail's position will depend on the spot of the throw-in. Like we talked about with lead, we want to make sure we're close enough to where we can make a very good bounce pass to our thrower in, but we don't want to be so close where the basketball could potentially hit us on the pass, where we're not able to do a visible 5-second throw-in count, and where we're not able to see the boundary lines and all action taking place on the court. Lead has some flexibility here. Lead can either start from the closed down position as shown in the image to the right, or post up position, which will be just outside of the 3-foot mark on the end line. If we have a backcourt throw-in administered by our trail official, our trail will bounce the ball to the thrower in. Again, trail's position will depend on the spot of the throw-in. We want to be able to make a good bounce pass to our thrower in, so we want to be close enough to be able to make a very good bounce pass, but we want to be far enough where our thrower in can pass the ball in any direction without interference from us as the official. We also want to be far away enough from our thrower in to be able to make a very visible 5-second throw-in count and to see all action taking place, especially action near our thrower in. In this image, we see that we have some backcourt defensive pressure. So in this particular case, our lead should take an initial position between the division line and the 28-foot mark in the new front court. And lead will move gradually toward his initial starting position as the basketball makes its way to the division line. If there is no backcourt pressure whatsoever, then our lead will go to his initial starting position along the end line. Speaking of backcourt pressure, let's talk about backcourt pressure by our defense. So if the defense displays pressure in the backcourt, our crew of two will have a huge challenge on their hands to officiate all this action. But this challenge can be met. Our trail will be responsible for the throw-in and all action near the throw-in. And our trail is responsible for the on-ball matchup after the throw-in is completed and assuming that the offense has maintained player control of the basketball. Our lead will be responsible for all players off ball. So you can see how vital it's important for our lead to take a good initial starting position, which in this case should be between the division line and the 28-foot mark in the front court. Lead has some flexibility depending on where the players are situated. And our lead will gradually move towards his initial starting position at lead on the end line as the basketball makes its way to the division line. This video is an illustration of the team in red showing backcourt pressure. You can see that as our lead is running, it's obvious that our lead took a very good position at the 28-foot mark in the new team's front court and was able to effectively cover all the action. This is a great job done by our officiating crew of 2. Again, we have another situation where our crew of 2 is covering backcourt action. Notice our lead does not run immediately to his new lead position, but is gradually walking to make sure that he has all off-ball action covered. Well done by both our officials, with our defense showing backcourt pressure. Let's talk about free throws. Both of our officials have massive responsibilities for free throws. So let's go over them first, and then we'll see videos of this in action. So our lead will administer the free throw with a bounce pass to the free thrower. Lead should be alongside the lane blocks when passing the ball to the free thrower. We want a good bounce pass to the free thrower. So we don't want to be far away from our players to where we have to make a bounce pass that may not get to our free thrower from the chest to the stomach area where he or she can catch it with minimal effort. Lead is also responsible for all rebounding action involving the players, as shown in the image to the right. And on the last free throw attempt, our lead should be in his initial starting position so that he or she can effectively cover the rebounding action. Trail is responsible for the free thrower. Trail will also have the 10-second count on the free thrower. Trail is also responsible for all players outside the three-point arc and free throw line extended. Let me make sure I emphasize this. Players that are not the free thrower or not in the lane spaces can be outside the three-point arc and free throw line extended. They do not necessarily have to be outside the top of the key. Let's make sure we get that rule correct. Our trail is also responsible for substitutions, and our trail is responsible for all rebounding action involving the players as shown in the image. It is imperative for our trail official to be positioned somewhere between the 28-foot mark and free throw line extended. Trail has way too many responsibilities to be officiating free throws outside the 28-foot mark closer to the division line. Here's a video demonstrating our officials administering free throws or free throw covers. Our lead official does a great job of being in a position to monitor the players during the first free throw and into great position to give an excellent bounce pass to our free thrower, and does a great job of getting back to his initial starting position on the last free throw. Our trail needs to observe better positioning in this particular video such that he does not have to move at all, if possible. Let's talk about switches. Switches are the movements by officials to a new position when the ball is dead and the clock is properly stopped. Switches can be a new position on the floor. Switches can also be where the trail becomes lead and lead becomes trail. Switches occur in a two-person officiating crew with lead and trail in the following circumstances. Defensive fouls in the front court called by lead. Defensive fouls in the front court called by trail, who is opposite table side. Offensive fouls in the front court. Violations in trail's primary coverage area in the front court. Violations in the front court resulting in turnovers by the offense. Let's talk about substitutions. Substitutes should take a position at either the X in front of the scorer's table or a position near the X that does not impact their safety. When the ball is dead, substitutes can be granted permission to enter the contest by the trail official in the front court, the trail official in the back court on sideline throw-ins table side, the lead official on backcourt inline throw-ins by trail, or either official if the primary official misses the substitution request. Here's the process for substitutions. We check the table for substitutes, we blow our whistle, we beckon substitutes onto the court, we take a stationary position with the stop the clock signal where we are visible to our partner so that our partner does not put the basketball at the player's disposal prior to the substitution process being completed. If we are in good position, then we should barely have to move until the substitution process is completed. Let's talk about timeouts. Timeouts can be requested by the team in player control of the basketball or either team when the ball is dead. Timeouts may be requested by the head coach or by a player currently participating in the game. When a timeout is requested and granted, one of the officials will designate the correct ball spot and go to the ball spot unless the ball spot is at one of the team's benches. We don't want to be near a team's bench during the timeout. The other official will go to the foul reporting area, not all the way to the table, and administer the timeout. Indicate the team color of the team taking the timeout. 30 or 60-second timeout signal to let the table know is the team requesting the 30 or 60-second timeout and tell the timer to start the timeout clock. For 30-second timeouts, after the timeout has started, one official should be at the ball spot unless the ball spot is at one of the team's benches. The other official should be at the top of the division line circle. With 15 seconds left in the timeout, the timer should sound the horn. Our official at the division line circle should go to each team and inform them. First horn white, first horn blue. Once this has been done for both teams, said official should go to his new position. For 60-second timeouts, after the timeout is started, just like the 30-second timeout, one official should be at the ball spot unless the ball spot is at one of the team's benches. The difference for 60-second timeouts is that the other official should be at the bottom of the division line circle. Again, with 15 seconds left in the timeout, the timer should sound the horn. Our official at the division line circle should go to each team and inform them. First horn white, first horn red. Once this has been done for both teams, said official should go to his new position. Between quarters. Between the first and second quarters, as well as between the third and fourth quarters, The referee will go to the division line to administer the throw-in to start the quarter. The referee will start the quarter as trail, assuming that there's not a turnover on the throw-in. The other official should be at the bottom of the division line circle, which is the 60-second timeout position. And just like the 60-second timeout, with 15 seconds left in the intermission, the timer should sound the horn. And once again, our division line circle official will go to each team, first horn white, first horn red. Once this has been done for both teams, this official will go to lead. When the first half comes to a conclusion, both officials take a position as shown in the image to the right. We're going to wait for the benches to clear and for both teams to clear the playing court. We want to ensure that nothing unsporting occurs between the two teams. The referee will then take the game ball to the scorer's table, ensure that the score is correct, that both scorebooks agree with the score and that it is correct on the scoreboard. Next, we will make sure that the alternating possession has been switched, and the referee will notify the timer to start the clock for halftime. Our officiating crew may now proceed to the locker room. With 3 minutes remaining in the halftime intermission, both officials will return to the court. They will assume positions at each 28-foot mark, which are the identical positions that our officials take during pregame. Let's talk about ball spots. These are the spots that we're going to place the basketball for throw-ins. When the ball becomes dead, other than situations of free throws or made goals, there is a proper location for the throw-in to occur. This is very, very important. Here are two scenarios to highlight the importance of ball spots. We have A1 in the backcourt. A1 dribbles the basketball and is trapped by B1 and B2 between the sideline and division line while still in the backcourt. Team A requests a timeout and is granted the timeout. Where is the throw-in spot? A1, in our second scenario, again, is in the backcourt. He dribbles the basketball and again is trapped by B1 and B2 between the sideline and division line again. But this time A1 has entered the front court. Team A requests a timeout and is granted the timeout. Where is the throw-in spot? Almost identical plays with two different throw-in spots. So you remember our scenarios? Our scenarios started out identically with A1 in the backcourt, dribbling the basketball, and being trapped by B1 and B2 between the sideline and division line. Scenario 1, this occurred while A1 was still in the backcourt. Scenario 2 occurred after A1 just entered the front court and has front court status. So backcourt and front court are keywords in both of these scenarios. The ball became dead as a result of an other stoppage. A timeout is an other stoppage. Because in the first scenario, the other stoppage happened in the backcourt, the ball would be spotted in the backcourt at the nearest location of the ball where the timeout was requested. In the second scenario, because the other stoppage occurred in the front court, the ball will be spotted at the 28-foot mark nearest to the sideline where the ball was when the timeout was requested. So remember, all out of bounds violations result in a throw-in nearest to the spot of a violation. This is for violations in the front court or back court, or for out of bounds violations in the front court or back court. All fouls, violations that are not out of bounds violations, hill balls, and other stoppages that occur in the backcourt will result in a throw in nearest to the spot. However, these same fouls, violations which are not out of bounds violations, hill balls, and other stoppages that occur in the front court will result in the throw in at either one of the 28-foot marks or either one of the 3-foot marks nearest to where the ball was or the ball is. We wish to thank you for spending part of your day with us. We hope this supplemental training from A to B gave you great insight and has prepared you for two-person officiating. It is indeed a daunting task, but it is one that can be mastered. We hope this gives you a good foundation of where you start, which is A, and where you finish, which is B. That is half the battle of officiating in not only basketball, but in any sport. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Have a great day, a great week, a great month, a great year, a great season.